like to explain the concept of a triad a little bit more carefully here. So, triad is just three evenly spaced colors on a color wheel. So, if you take the color wheel, and this is the color wheel in its most simple form here, we have the primaries yellow, blue, and red, and then the secondary colors that come from them orange, green, and violet. So, six colors here. And if you if you take a triangle, it's going to show you your triad. So let me just spin this. So here we have yellow, red, and blue as a triad. Take it and change it to orange, green, and violet, right? And those are the only options for triads on this six-step color wheel. We just have two possible combinations for a triad here. Now, this, I think, is a great place to start if you're just getting comfortable with this. Any color that fits in the yellow range, the yellow hue, is fair game here for the yellow. And the same with red and the same with blue. No need to hone way, way down in on like a bright yellow green and a blue violet and a red orange or anything like that. Just, is it a basically yellow color? Is it a basically green color? And you can use your triad like that. In fact, I don't think you ever really have to go too far beyond this, but I do want to show you what it would look like if you did. So we can increase this to a 12-step color wheel. This is the color wheel I typically use here. So 12 steps, and this is where you can get a little bit more fine-tuned, right? Yellow, green, blue, violet, and red, orange as a very specific triad, different from the orange, green, and violet triad that I was just showing you a moment ago, right? A little bit more complexity here in this 12-step color wheel. So here we have the primary colors, the secondary colors, and the tertiary colors. And the tertiary colors are the colors on the color wheel that appear between the secondary and the primary colors. So orange, we now have yellow orange on this color wheel. And again, we're just using the triangle. Anywhere you spin it, it's going to give you a triad, and it's these three evenly spaced colors on your color wheel. So back to that primary triad. Let me show you one step more in complexity. This is an 18-step color wheel. So even more divided here, and you can again hone in even more carefully. Say you have a beautiful sea green or a big blue sky that's really in that blue violet range. Well, if you're wanting to set up a triad around that as a dominant color over here, well, you could use that yellow, I think it's a yellow orange, that's what you call it. Yes, yellow orange and a red violet over here. You can see how those three colors would really blend together beautifully to make that color harmony. And one more step in complexity here, all the way to a 24-step color wheel. It's a beautiful thing. I love color wheels. You can just see this is where you can really zero in on some pretty exact colors. Again, just that triangle and an even space between these three colors is going to give you your triad. But again, if you're just starting out with triads and you're trying to master how this could work, just stick with the most simple. So green, any green, orange, any orange, and violet, any violet. And they'll come together to make a good harmony for you here. If you're feeling like you get the concept and you want to push yourself a little harder, well, in today's demonstration, that's what we did. We just used a 12-step color wheel. So we were aimed more at the true greens and the violets. We were avoiding yellow greens and blue greens. We were avoiding yellow oranges and red oranges. We were avoiding the blue and the red violets as well. Before we dive into our painting and our source here, I want to look at some famous paintings with you, starting with this incredible impressionistic painting by Monet. And Monet is famous for really carefully observing the colors that he could see in his scene, right? He painted light, he painted color, he painted from life, which was really quite a thing for the landscape in his day and how he approached it. But I can't help but see immediately that he has a triad in this painting. Well, let me show you exactly what I mean. So I'm just going to take my eyedropper and select this color. That is definitely an orange, right? You can put that right here in the orange. It's a pale orange, and I can see some other oranges up here in the sky. He's definitely here. They're not super saturated, all of them, but they're orange. They're in that orange group. What about violets? Well, there are plenty of these blue violets, right? And blue violet here, those right in here, a blue violet right there. In fact, I'm going to say that these aren't even really just orange. They are yellow orange. I'm going to move them up a little bit so that they're there. And what about green? Do we have any greens in this? So I'm seeing that blue violet, that orange. Do we have any greens? Let me transition this here. And so here we have the orange and the blue violet, and the green. And I see the greens right in here. He's ever so slightly green right in here. They're very gray, but he's definitely got some gray green going on in there. So even Monet, you can see how he's depending on this triad to really create a beautiful harmony in his color. This landscape was painted by Arnold Boecklin, and it's it's such a fine-tuned painting, right? Just really beautiful finish to this. And I want to just start picking out some colors and seeing if we can pick up the color harmony in here. So first of all, do you notice how the trees in the light, he's not using a bright green or a yellow green in there? It's really, well, look, it's more in that orange family. I'm going to switch back to this so we can identify a little bit more easily. And I'm seeing a lot of those oranges in different temperature or different intensities and in different values, but orange, right? That's definitely not red, it's not yellow, it's orange. How about these mountains back here, right? Definitely seeing, again, different hues and different intensities, but still gray violets, lots of gray violets in here, right? Let me put those in. And then we absolutely are seeing green, right? Seeing green, but the green, for the most part, is a pretty blue green in here. It's not a strong yellow green that I'm seeing. There's a little bit of it, but do you see how he's using a triad basically here? And I say basically because there's one thing that I don't think really fits into the triad, and that's this big sky here. So what about that sky? Well, one thing I think he's doing very successfully here is he's basically staying within that orange, green, and violet triad within this color wheel. He's not pushing those, or yeah, within this color scheme, he's not pushing those mountains towards blue. And it does have a very harmonious feel. That big sky, how does he keep the sky color and still stay within that triad harmony without really breaking his triad? Well, he's really desaturating that sky. Do you see how gray the sky is? That evening sky could have been much, much, much more chromatic, much, much more colorful, and he's really grayed it out. And that, I think, is how he's accomplishing. He gives us the blue sky, which is the one break from the triad, but for the most part, he's sticking within that triad. And I think that's a great way to handle colors where if we can't prune them, so sort of remove them, had to have that sky. If we can't push them towards the color that we need, he couldn't have pushed it to violet and still had a big evening sky. Just desaturate them, really, really, really reduce them, and then the whole painting does feel harmonious. I've got one more to show you here before we start painting. This is by Edgar Payne. And, I've been showing blue, I'm sorry, green, violet, and orange, right? And this one I really see as a red, yellow, and blue. So we've got the primaries here. So let me change this, our color our triad here and we're going to switch it. I'm going to have it at the primaries. And let me show you what I see here. Let's go to Edgar's painting and just going to pull a few swatches out of his sailboat. Obviously, the strongest, the dominant color in this scene is red, right? But he also has a really strong blue and a couple of blues too. Right? We've got that aqua blue back there, and we have the man wearing blue, and we have the blue stripe on the boat. All those blues, right? But the sky, what color is the sky? The sky with a just a little tiny bit of blue at the top, the sky is mostly yellow. He really pushed that sky yellow. And so with the exception of this one green, this whole piece falls into that harmony of yellow, blue, and red. That's the triad he's using here in this one. And now, why then did he include that one piece of green? Well, I obviously can't ask him, but my guess is he had so much red, and even though he's using a triad to build his harmony, he had so much red, he just wanted to include a little green to make that red look redder. He's complementing that red within that harmony. So you can see a little flexibility, a little play in the joints when you're using a harmony like this, but notice that that green occupies so little of the painting, right? This is really a yellow, blue, and red triad. Now that you've seen that triad harmony at play in a few paintings by the masters, it's time to start with our own paints and brushes using the painting or the source photo around me as our source.